Hello everyone, welcome to Coptic lesson number 2. This time we're going to be talking about nominal sentences. So first of all, what is a nominal sentence, right? So nominal means that exists only in name. Therefore, nominal sentences are only sentences by name. Like we only just call them that. So how's that possible, right? Like sentence has to convey a whole thought. Does that mean the nominal sentences don't contain whole thoughts? Well, kind of and kind of not, because nominal sentences don't have a verb. Basically, it's a common feature of languages in the Middle East. Like if you're familiar with Arabic, if you were to say "I am hungry," it just becomes "I hungry," right? It's just translated into "I hungry," right? And it's translated back, and it's translated back into English. "I hungry" doesn't make sense. It's not a full thought, and so you put "I am hungry." So forms of the sentence, right? Uh, Here we have two-member sentences and three-member sentences. Two-member sentences can be two different ways. The first one is just like in Arabic, it's subject, predicate, nothing in between. It's just subject, predicate. And it's translated into English as subject is predicate, right? The second one, oh wait, slide says subject is pronoun, it's subject is predicate. So like I hungry translated into I am hungry. Second type is whenever you have a pronoun then is, and it's translated as third person pronoun is the subject, which is the original pronoun. Now this is a bit more complex. I hope that it'll be made a bit easier in the example, but yeah, honestly, I've only ever seen it once. I had to dig pretty deep in order for me to find a biblical example of this type of sentence. But I mean, like, yeah, it's just something nice to know. The three-member sentence, this one is the easiest one to understand. It's just subject is predicate, and it's translated as subject is predicate. Now, the important thing to notice here, right? Here we have like literally built to be subject as predicate, but whenever I say is, I'm using that super loosely because is in Coptic isn't like a verb, it's a copula. And a copula is like a helping verb, but not really. Like it's kind of confusing, but like once we cover actual verbs, this will make a lot more sense. You can think of it as a verb, but just know that it's not. And so the copula is translated as to be. And again, it's not a verb. You can think of it as one, but it's not. So a couple forms of the copula, depending on gender or number, not both, because they're mutually exclusive. You right, can't have a plural masculine thing or a plural feminine thing. It's just plural, and if you have masculine, it automatically excludes it from being plural. Uh, so, like masculine words, you have, or the masculine form rather of the copula is pe, the feminine form is te, and the plural is ne. So the agreement rules, right? So we have the masculine, feminine, plural. So what are the agreement rules? So we have the two-member sentence. It's when the copula has to agree with the subject and gender number. This is the easiest one, right? It's just agreeing with the subject. So if the subject is masculine, you use pe. If it's feminine, you use te. If it's plural, you use ne. Super simple, right? Three-member, bit more difficult, but it's not that bad. So if the subject and predicate agree in gender and number, then so too should the copula, right? Easy, right? Common sense. The issue though is whenever subject and predicate don't agree, in that case, it's just always pe. That's what's always used. Doesn't matter, right? So examples of all of these, right? First one from Exodus 3:14, Anuk pe fiat This this could be understood as I am he who exists. It's usually like translated into I am the being. But Anok is the subject. It's a masculine first person. No, wait. No, sorry. It's just first person. It's not. It's not masculine or feminine. It's just first person. It's always understood as masculine. That's the type of pronoun that it is. But it itself is. It's just pronoun, right? Doesn't necessarily have a gender, but it's understood to be masculine. Fiat shop, that's a masculine word. And so you can look at this as either they're agreeing or they're not. Either way, you're just always going to be using be. Second one is same thing. We have anok, which is the same. It's I, right? I doesn't necessarily have masculine or feminine, like gender attached to it. But I guess you can understand it as masculine. I've always thought of it as masculine, but I honestly don't really know. But here we have bimoit, which is the way, and that is masculine. So then, whether these agree or not doesn't really matter because it's going to be pe. So we have I am the way and the truth and the life. Anok be bimoit nem timeth me nem bionch from John 14:6. The third example is Tok te timechois nem tiexoseia. This from I sought after you. And so Thok is whenever you're talking, like it's saying yours, right? But it's when you're talking to a man who owns something that's feminine, right? Like it's a possessive pronoun for a man who owns a feminine thing. So thok, right? Te teamet choice. So then thok, that's feminine word. Even though you're talking to a man, it's a feminine word. And teamet choice, that's also feminine because of the definite feminine article that's behind it. I mean, sorry, not behind it, like in front of it. So then, since both of them agree and they're both feminine, you use te, right? You don't look at like the rest of the stuff, it's just the first one. Uh, Fourth example, Tishori and Nob Teti Parthenos. This one's from him, the censor. We have Tishori and Nob, which is the golden censer. Tishori is the censer and Nob is golden. We will cover like that type of build, I guess, later on. Then T Parthenos, the virgin, right? The golden censer is the virgin. So T Parthenos, T Shori, both of them are feminine, and we can tell because of the definite feminine article in front of both of them. Therefore, since both of them agree, we're using te. Finally, we're at the fifth example, which is the difficult one, or like the weird one that I was talking about earlier. From Matthew 14:27, the English translation of this is "it is I." So Anok be is "it is I." So you're taking a third person pronoun and you're using it to refer to the subject of this sentence, right? Anok be, it is I. And so it's kind of like difficult, right? Because here it's just I is, right? If we if we were to translate it like as literally as possible, right? It's just I is or I am, and so whenever you look at it like that, doesn't really make sense, right? But then just know that whenever you use this form, it's not I am, it's it is I. Like it's referring back to itself. So then extra word, and then I'm out. Ha. So ha can be confused as a copula, but it's used for this thing called apposition or apposition. I don't know how to pronounce it. Basically, I didn't know this until I made the lesson, but apposition is basically saying like you're putting two words next to each other, and each one refers to the other, right? So the example here is Anocha Birafernovi, and that's translated as I the sinner, right? It's not saying I am the sinner, it's just I the sinner. And it's understood because I the sinner, and then it continues on. You're not going to see Anocha Birafernovi on its own because that's not a full thought. Even in Coptic, that's not a full thought. But it's like used in a sentence that continues. It has more that's coming. And so it's not using a copula, but it's using cha for apposition. So, yeah, that's all that I have for today. Thank you for listening, and God bless.